Hello and welcome to Mimi's Sketchbook. Today we are going to learn how to paint a rose. And if you've never been able to paint one before, I think you're going to be happy that you're here because I'm going to make it understandable and easy, step by step, how you can paint a rose. So let's get your supplies together and let's draw. So to get started with our rose, I want to show you what materials I'm using. I'm using a mixed media paper. It's 7 by 10 Canson, and it comes in this nice little sketchbook. But the important thing is if you can get mixed media paper, it will be helpful to you when we do the shading. And if you don't have it, just use whatever paper you have, copy paper, anything, the scrap paper. We're going to have to practice to get it and to get the mindset of how a rose grows and how it works. I'm also going to need just a pencil, an eraser. I've got this nice little eraser. I've also got an eraser in my pencil. I've got a kneaded eraser. I've got a roller ball pen, and this is a really nifty pen that I love to use, and they come 2 for a whole $1 at the Dollar Tree. But you'll see why I like them when we get to the shading part. I also have a round number 6 paintbrush. This is a soft grip, and I use it all the time for many things. It's a great all-around paintbrush and some water. So let's get started with our drawing a rose, a hybrid tea rose, and I'm going to start by making a square, 4 equal sides box on my paper. And I'm drawing pretty large today so you can see all the detail. It's complicated drawing a rose, so we're going to draw large. So we're going to start with a square, and I'm going to put the shape of the rose within the box. A rose opened up as sort of a circle, right? So, but I don't want it a perfect circle. So this is going to help me keep the shape, overall shape right, but also it's just kind of, I'm drawing the outside petals right now without too much anxiety or worry. So I don't have any lines that are parallel to the outside. They're all at an angle, but they connect together at, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 points, but the wide areas are broken up. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just 6 lines. And I'm going to leave it just like that. So now I'm going to start in here, and I'm going to make a spiral. And it's going to be, you know what a spiral is? I'm going to start here, and I'm going to come around. It's going to be kind of oval. I'm going to come up here, come around. I'm going to come again, come around, and I'm going to just kind of end it like this. It looks like a wild and crazy question mark. And this spiral now, I am going to take and bring this line down, kind of angle it in. going to come over here and angle this in. I'm going to come to the farthest, this is the farthest point on this part. I'm going to come to the farthest point here, angle this in. I'm going to come to the farthest point here and angle it in. Stop right there. Make sure I don't go past that. I'm going to come to, let me bring this out a little bit. Messing it up more than I'm helping it. I'm going to come to this part here, and I'm going to angle it down and stop right there. See that angle? Angle. There. This is the tight woven interior. I've got more space here. I can put another little curve. I could put another little curve. This is the interior of the rose, where it is dark and all tightly wound together. I'm going to put some more of these angles in here. There. Okay, so there that is. And I'm going to imagine this is tightly wound together, the inside of the rose, and then petals are going to start to unfurl from this tight little center. So I'm going to come over here. Let me start kind of here, and I'm going to bring a petal out and around. I'm going to meet the point right there. So imagine that is just the first petal underneath this. Going to come out and unfurl and meet there. And I want to think about trying to make a graceful shape. All right, now I am going to bring this down a little bit more, and I'm going to come over here just a little bit, not too much. I'm going to come over here on top on this new one, starting at this new petal I just put in, because petals in a rose are overlapping each other. I'm going to come around here and make another petal. And I'm going to bring that down and meet this point here. And this can be, I can curve this more. Bring it around. I don't want it to be perfectly perfect. I want the rose to has crinkles and bends, and it's all twisted, not twisted, but perfectly layered one on top of the other, and then it starts to open up. So I want to show some personality to it. So there's that. Now, can you begin to see the petals unfurling? Now imagine a rose before it opens, the base of it has this bud bottom. So I am going to come here. I'm going to go like this, and it's kind of an angle. I'm going to come here. And we're going to meet right here. And this, if you're having trouble envisioning this, is shaded. This is shaded. Draw lightly. This is opened here. So this is a tiny little unfolded edge. And do you see how this one is folded over here, and this one here goes behind it? Gotta be careful, it's such a tiny little space. But I want you to see that. This goes under here, right there. So you've got this crisscross type of thing, this unwrapping look. So there we have the beginning of our rose. Now if you still can't see where this is going to be shaded. I'm going to shade in here. Can you see more of it now? I'm going to shade down in here. If I shade, I'm always leaving the top edge light and putting a shadow behind it. You see that? Can you begin to see how it's getting like a cone inside of there? Okay. This would be darker here. I don't want to spend a lot of time shading. Just want to show you, help you envision it. Can you see the rose? So picture it in your mind. Alrighty. Now we're going to come over here, and I'm going to bring a petal, and start to do another petal. I'm going to start here, and I want this one to come in front. And when it comes in front, I really don't have, I'm just kind of coming up with a shape here. I don't want it to be perfectly perfect. Maybe I'll bring it up here a little bit more. And let's see, maybe I'll bring it this way. There, I like that a little bit better. Maybe bend that in a little bit. Curve that out. Bring it in. Okay, there's another petal. Okay, so we've drawn 1 petal, 2 petals, 3 petals. And can you see how we're staying inside of this shape? Okay, let's put in another petal. So if this is 1, 2, 3. Let's come up from the third one, and let's bring a petal here, about partway around here, under the last one that we did. I'm going to come up and follow the shape here. And every time we make a petal, they're getting a little bit bigger. Okay, there's another one. Okay, now I'm going to come here and follow this around. Put a petal here. And I might change this so it's a little more exciting. Okay, and I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring it in like this. Okay, so I'm going to bring this around. There's another petal. Start there and come here. And then come here. And there's our last petal all drawn for us. You see how that happened? All of a sudden, shebang, it was there. I think I'm going to shorten this up a little bit. I can do that because I'm the artist. I'm looking at this thinking maybe I want it a little bit different, but there it is. So there that is. And that would go tucked down behind there. So I'm going to look at this for a minute, hold it back, stand back and look at it and see if I like this arrangement of petals. Okay? you do the same. Okay, I think I'm going to just bring that out a little bit like that. And that's good enough. And every rose is different, so there's no one right or wrong way. Okay, so as I do my petals, I want to think about giving them a little bit more personality. And the tips, outside edges of the petals are very fragile, very thin. And so they are prone to have little little ridges sometimes, little tears. So I'm going to put little, every now and then, not think too much about it, just kind of quickly let my hand kind of jump around and be nervous. Give these petals round and then a little jig. Jig, smooth, jig, smooth. Okay, and that gives them just a little bit more round, jig, round. Just a little bit more personality. Now in the center here, if this was a single piece of paper, it would do this, but it's not. It is a petals that are wound tightly. So we need to break them up just a little bit. So if this is a little one here, I'm going to bring that down. Do you see that petal here? Okay, there it is there. Okay, then I'm going to start this here. Break it up. Start that here, bring it around. Maybe go down like that. This wood. So there's a petal. Now this one comes along here. We don't want to break it here, so I'm just going to, it's so fine, it's hard to see. So I'm just going to put a little break there. And that's going to be rather dark in there, so it's going to be hard to see, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. And then these can have little flares and ridges too, just a little bit to jazz them up. Okay, now if I follow this down, if I bring a line like this, kind of give it a little bit of a curve, this would be where my stem would grow. Follow it right down like this. And this is the bud, so we wouldn't see any of the bottom of the bud. It's too far. This is tipped towards us too much. But say that this would be down here, the bottom of this bud. There are some things called sepals that come out, and so they would be about this long. So I'm going to put a couple of sepals in here, maybe just the tip here, if one came here. And these are like a leathery skinny leaf that grows up around the bud and protects it. I think I'll put this over here to balance it. Put a little line in it. Points begin to dry up and crinkle. So I'm going to try and make it look a little crinkly. Then on the stem is very parallel. It's a strong, has to be very strong to hold that big flower. And the flower if it rains, the flower fills with water, and it has to be strong to hold it up, all that weight. Let's put on some thorns. We'll put some alternating ones here. And let's put a leaf. And to put a leaf on, I'm going to start it along the stem and bring the center vein up here. And then I'm going to come up here, make a point, and I'm going to come over here, meet it like that, maybe fix that up a little bit more. That looks pretty good. And the edge of the leaf has these little jagged points, so we'll give it a little bit of that personality like that. And I think that's enough. Alrighty, now we are going to go over the lines that I want. I don't want any of this. I don't want any of my shadow. I did that just for you to see, and if you need to do that while you're drawing, do it. And if you don't have a roller ball pen, you'll want to use a pencil to do it. So I am just going to start in here and come around and start to fill in my lines. Now here, this is an important line here. That was, remember that one that we did? I want to meet that right there at a point. Okay, let's bring this point down, stop it, and be very careful. Bring this one up. All right, I'm going to, let's come to this next petal we made. Come back over here. And this is the shadow under here. Remember that bud? I'm going to put that in like this. Okay. And okay, I cut off a couple of corners. Okay, now I think that sepal has to be a little wider there. I'm going to give that a little wiggle like that. Imagine this growing out. And my stem. Now, the roller ball is a liquid ink in here. I think it's like a gel pen. So it's wet. This ink is wet. If I went like this right now, I'd smear my ink. So be careful not to touch your drawing right now because it will smear. And after all your hard drawing here, we don't want to smear it too soon. But if it does, we'll do it again. All right, so what I'm talking about is if it smears, let me show you. If I move this out of the way so I don't smear it. Here's my roller ball. If I do this, look, it's wet. It's going to smear, so I really have to wait for it to dry. So I am going to take it and dry it with the hair dryer. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I dried it with the hair dryer. And one way you can test to see if it's dry is to take a sheet of paper, lay it on there, lift it up, and see if any of the ink came off. And it didn't. So now I'm going to take my kneaded eraser. I can double check, I wouldn't want to smear anything, and start to clean up all these pencil marks that I made. You have to hold down your paper with one hand and clean up the eraser. And it's at this point that you can see if you forgot any lines, if some lines don't connect. And you can go back and connect them. And I can see a couple here that need to be connected that I missed. All right, so that's pretty clean. I can see where I didn't connect here. Touch that in there. Because this goes underneath. Each one of these goes underneath. So that's kind of an important line to get them in there. And I'm going to just put a center line here on these because I want these, actually I want more ink on there so it's a little darker. And let's see. I don't think I put these side lines in. I didn't draw that side line in. Remember that line we put in? I didn't put that one in. I didn't put that one in. I didn't put that one in. There, now that looks better. Okay, I knew something was missing. I erased them right away. Okay. Now you get to see how fun this is to shade, how easy and fun. So what I'm going to do is I've got my paintbrush and I wet it completely, wipe it off, and make sure there's no drips hanging from it. You don't want that to happen, so I kind of drag it along the side of the water container before I come in, wipe it off. We are going to create cast shadows. So wherever one petal is overlapping another petal, we're going to create a cast shadow. So maybe I'll just turn it this way and start here. And where this petal is overlapping the one underneath, this is creating a cast shadow, and I'm just taking the tip of my brush and I'm touching that gel pen. Do you see how nice that comes out? And rinse it out a little bit and come and blend this out here. And I want this part, the tip of the petal, to be light, but I want the inside to be dark. So here I'm going to darken this, and I always have to kind of look to make sure I'm painting the right thing. Take my time. So this is the cast shadow here. I want this to be dark and the petal above it to be lighter. So it's a little bit of a jigsaw puzzle to make sure that the leaf, the part that's underneath where the cast shadow is darker. So here, and I can take some water, blend this, but I don't want to go near the edge of my petal. I want that to stay nice and white. Come along here. And just the tip has to catch the pen, the ink from the pen, and it creates that terrific cast shadow. It's nice and smooth and blended. If I was doing this with pencil, it would take a long time. And we want to have more time to practice, and so that's why I like to do this. I could do one of these very quickly and it maybe take 15 minutes, but if I was drawing and shading with a pencil, it might take an hour. So I could get 4 done in an hour rather than 1. 4 practices, 4 tries. So this is why I like a gel pen, because you can get quick results, and they just look terrific. Isn't it? Look at that shadow, how that just all of a sudden, all of that popped out and set back, and looks so nice. Just blend it like this with your water. Okay, let's find another one to pop out, and I'm going to always go behind the petal. And create the cast shadow. Now, we're coming to a spot here where this kind of curls down. So I'm just going to bring this down like this, and be careful, because I want this edge to stay light. Okay, now I'm going to come in here, I can turn it. I want this side, I'm going to, because it's a tight space, I'm going to lift my brush up. And be able to get that detail. Okay, down here, this is that bud, and this is in shadow down here. So I'm going to come over here. I don't know if you can hear that. We've been having windstorms, and the vents have been getting caught by the wind in there, making lots of noise. Let me come over here. Now this curves down, so I want that to be light. But this is a cast shadow here. So I just want to be, it's getting smaller and tighter as I go in, so I've got to be a little more careful. So this overlaps. This is the cast shadow. And as it gets towards the center, less and less is going to be light because it's all wound around so tightly. So I'm going to let that go pretty dark in there, because it's like down inside. It's not going to catch as much light as the outside is. Okay, can you see that dimension that we created there? You want to leave a little light on the outside Have it go from light to dark, light to dark, light to dark, light to dark, light to dark. And then over here, we're going to paint in, I'm going to paint in this whole sepal. I want it really nice and dark there, so there's that contrast to define the outer edge. Set it off. You hear that wind? We lost our electricity yesterday for a good long time. I hope we don't lose it again. Lots of trees down. Now I'm going to come around the outside. I'm going to let the inside, the center of the stem be a little bit lighter so it gives the sense of dimension. So I'm painting that side. Do you notice how I turn the paper as I work? It's so much easier for me to work side to side like this. I'm more accurate. It's easier. My hand works better side to side rather than up and down. See the dimension this cave by having the outside dark and the inside a little bit lighter. I'm going to touch some more here. I want this to be kind of dark right under there because the stem goes under the petal. And let's do our leaf. I think I'll just go. So there is our rose, and we've got our nice dimension on it, and we've got it unfurling, and we've got the leaves, these interesting edges on the leaves. We stayed within our original shape. Remember the square we started with? Hey, see how it worked? And our original angled circle. So I hope you enjoyed making this with me. Oh, you know what? I can see I forgot something. I'm like, what's wrong with this? I forgot to do this. Here's a it's underneath here. This is important shadow there. I'm going to ease it around. There we go. Created a nice depth there. Okay, there we are. I hope you enjoyed making this rose with me. And if you didn't get the first time, hey, guess what? I didn't either. If you got it the first time, please make some YouTube videos and send them to me so you can be my teacher. But don't be discouraged if it takes you who knows how many times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times. Keep trying. Just keep trying until you get it if you want to do it. But I hope that follow the directions, follow the video every time. And after you get the idea of how it is shaped and how it unfurls and how you create cast shadows, then get a real rose, if you can, a photo of a real rose, and use that as a reference and draw it from that, and you'll have a lot better grasp and understanding about how a rose develops and grows and how you can draw it successfully, because roses are tough, no doubt. So if you liked this, drawing this with me, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, subscribe to my channel, and I'll be posting another video very soon. So thanks for joining me. Bye.